My girlfriend yelled. I only went into the Grand Hotel with my ex because he wasn't feeling well. If you don't trust me, maybe we should break up. The words echoed, so sharp and piercing that I felt like they couldn't possibly have come from the girl who once held my hand through the best days of our youth. But clearly, she was the one who said it. Without trembling, without hesitation, and more importantly, without feeling any sense of guilt. I was silent for a few seconds. Perhaps if it were me a few months ago, I would have lost my temper, questioned her, tried to find a reason to cling to the fragile hope that there was still something left between us to hold on to. But today was different. I only replied with one sentence. You are right. In that moment, her face froze. Her eyes widened. The look of panic mixed with surprise was so clear that I could feel her breath catch in her throat. She didn't expect it. She truly didn't expect me to agree. In her mind, I had to be the man who would be jealous, who would beg her to stay, who would be heartbroken to the point of madness. But I just looked at her for a few seconds, and then turned away. No yelling. No further questions. No argument about right or wrong. A few days later, I received dozens of messages. The calls came constantly, some lasting minutes with nothing but stifled sobs on the other end of the line. Explanations, apologies, and pleas that never stopped. And me? I was sitting in a meeting room on the 42nd floor, signing a multi-billion-dollar contract. My phone kept vibrating, but I didn't even bother to look. The moment Chloe betrayed me was also the moment I knew I had nothing left to hold on to. What she didn't know was that our ending had begun a long time ago, and this was just the final straw. I am Alex, 29, an entrepreneur in the technology sector, more specifically, developing automation solutions for businesses. The job demands many things: calculation skills, composure, and cold, decisive actions at the right time. Fortunately, those are all things I have always done very well. I'm not the type to show off, nor am I eager to talk about my achievements. I live quite discreetly, cherish warm dinners with my family, and rarely post anything on social media. My career at that time was entering a boom phase. After years of laying the groundwork, I was about to sign the biggest contract of my life, a deal that could take the company to a whole new level. In the days before everything happened, I barely slept more than a few hours each night to prepare. But I didn't complain, because for the past 2 years, I always thought I had someone standing behind me whom I could rely on with peace of mind. Chloe. Chloe is 27, a dynamic designer at a media company. She is creative, quick-witted, and like a warm breeze that softens my busy life. But at the same time, along with that intelligence, her emotions were erratic. Quick to be happy, quick to be sad, and quick to be angry over small things. Sometimes, I joked that Chloe was like a highly volatile stock chart, but of course, I never took it as a serious problem. We had been together for 2 years, stable, and had clear plans to move in together next year. I had even secretly gone to look at a few engagement ring designs. She didn't know that. Perhaps it's better that she never knows. Then Mark reappeared. Mark was Chloe's ex-boyfriend, a relationship it took her a long time to get over. She once told me about the long nights of silent crying over a messy breakup, about a man who left without a proper explanation. At the time, all I could do was hold her and promise never to let her be hurt like that again. The day Mark returned to the city, Chloe told me in a very normal, even somewhat relaxed tone. He texted me, wanting to meet to talk things out clearly. I think it's time to close the past. I looked at her without suspicion. To love is to trust. That was the principle I always upheld. And I understood how difficult it was for Chloe to move past her old relationship. I wanted her to find peace with the pain that had haunted her. But then, unusual things started to appear, slowly, very slowly. Initially, Chloe put more effort into her appearance whenever she said she was going to group meetings or hanging out with friends. I'm not overly perceptive about these things, but her spending an extra half hour fixing her hair just to meet longtime friends made me a little uneasy. Her phone suddenly was always placed face down on the table. Notifications were turned off. Messages arrived at 10 to 11 p.m., and Chloe would only say, "A colleague is just asking for the report formula." Once she came home late, claiming it was an urgent deadline. But when I asked what deadline, she just answered vaguely and changed the subject. I'm not the controlling type of man. I hate checking phones or repeatedly asking, "Where are you?" But my heart, the one I thought I had trained in a steel, would skip a beat every time this happened. One evening, when she read a text message and smiled, I asked gently, "Which friend made you so happy?" Chloe immediately snapped, "You're being ridiculously jealous." Or when I asked, "You've been coming home late lately. Is there something stressful at work?" She immediately replied, "You really make me feel suffocated. If you don't trust me, why are we even together?" Those seemingly harmless words, repeated enough times, became small, sharp, and painful cuts. I wasn't angry, but I felt very clearly that I was being pushed out of the emotional circle of my own girlfriend. I still wanted to believe her, still wanted to think that it was all just a misunderstanding. But trust is like a thread. It doesn't break from a single cut, but from being pulled taut again and again until it wears thin and frays. I didn't know when that thread would break entirely. I just knew that, on the day she said the phrase, "If you don't trust me, let's break up," I no longer had the strength to hold on. I still clearly remember the day everything completely collapsed. It was a Tuesday morning, and I was sitting in my office, preparing the final draft for the biggest deal of my career. Amidst piles of documents and urgent calls, my phone suddenly vibrated. A message from Ryan, my best friend. I just saw Chloe with a guy who looks like her ex-boyfriend. They just walked into the Grand Hotel. Before I could react, a picture was instantly sent. In the photo, Chloe was linking arms with a man, Mark. She was smiling. A soft, relaxed, and cruel smile that made me choke up. They stood in front of the hotel entrance, as if they had been there many times and had nothing to hide. I looked at the picture for about 3 seconds. 3 seconds was enough to feel something drop inside my chest. Not anger. Not a sharp, searing pain. Just a cold emptiness, as if my heart had simply let go. I didn't text Ryan back. Didn't call Chloe. Didn't ask why. I just remained silent. That entire day, amidst important meetings, no one noticed anything different about me. I still spoke calmly, still made clear decisions, still analyzed data articulately as always. But deep inside, a crucial part of me had silently shut down. There was no cry of pain, no resistance. That evening, when Chloe walked into my house, she smiled as if nothing had happened. "Have you eaten yet? I bought takeout." I looked at her for a moment, then asked in a voice so soft that even I was surprised by the calmness, "Where did you go today?" She answered immediately, smoothly to the point of being unsettling. "I met up with some friends. Discussed some random project stuff." I said nothing. I just took out my phone and showed her the picture in front of the hotel. In that moment, Chloe's face went white. She froze for a few seconds, eyes wide, hands slightly shaking, then immediately shifted to her familiar defensive tone. "It's not what you think," she blurted out. I remained silent. He was tired, had a stomachache, so we dropped into the hotel for him to rest a bit. The explanation was so absurd that she had to swallow her own saliva after saying it. "Don't overreact." Her voice started to grow louder, shifting to the attack. "You're always suspicious. If you don't trust me then, let's just break up." That sentence, the one she had used to threaten me countless times, now echoed in the quiet room like the final period. I looked at her. My eyes held no blame, no resentment, no plea. Then I said, "You are right." Just 3 words. Soft, short, and utterly empty. Normally, if I were angry or upset, Chloe would argue back or burst into tears right away. But it was the silence, that absolute composure, that truly terrified her. What are you saying?" Her voice trembled. I didn't answer. I stood up, avoided her gaze, and walked out of the living room, as if our conversation had ended long ago. Chloe tried to maintain her strong demeanor. She packed her things, trying to act normal. But I saw her hands shake when she held her bag. I saw her lips pressed tightly to restrain her turmoil. The door closed behind her, and I knew that was the last time she would stand in this house as my girlfriend. 3 days later, my phone was exploding with messages. Chloe texted long, winding lines, sometimes explaining, sometimes apologizing. I was wrong. "Let me explain. I beg you to listen to me just once. I swear I didn't do anything. I'm scared. Don't leave me." Calls came constantly. Some I declined. Some I let the machine turn off silently. Several times, I heard her sobbing on the other end of the line. But I didn't answer. Not because I wanted to punish her. Not because I hated her. But because right then, I was sitting in the large glass meeting room, facing the multi-billion-dollar contract I had been pursuing for months. In complete contrast to the chaos from those messages, my life at that moment was incredibly clear, focused, and sober. Chloe was drowning in the fear of loss, while I was standing at the peak of my career, realizing that the only thing that had held me back was a relationship that had been rotten for a long time. And now, it had ended on its own in the clearest possible way. 3 days passed in my silence and Chloe's despair. I thought the story would end there, a sad but clear ending. But then, the biggest surprise came from the person I never thought would appear in my life, Mark. That evening, as I was reviewing the contract before the official signing day, my phone suddenly vibrated with a messenger notification from an unfamiliar account. "Hi, I'm Mark, Chloe's ex." I paused, but still opened the message. "I know you two have broken up, but maybe you don't know everything yet." That day, Chloe was the one who initiated going into the Grand Hotel. I stood still looking at the screen, and the following lines appeared, deliberately provocative and challenging. She said, "It had been too long since you touched her." She said, "I made her feel needed more than you ever did." I paused for a long time at the last sentence. No anger, no astonishment, just a cold emptiness spreading in my chest. Mark continued texting, as if afraid his stab wasn't deep enough. "If you want details, she didn't resist at all that night. On the contrary, she even said she was more comfortable with me." I didn't read on. It wasn't necessary. Every word was enough to completely slam shut the last door I had left open for Chloe. The next morning, I sat in the meeting room on the 42nd floor to sign the multi-billion-dollar contract, the contract I had been pursuing for over half a year. When I finished signing the last page, the partner, an elderly but shrewd CO, looked at me and smiled. "You look strangely relieved, as if you've just thrown off a huge burden." I also smiled slightly for the first time in weeks. "That's right. I just cut off the worst thing affecting my life." He chuckled and patted my shoulder. "Congratulations. It's the same in business. Sometimes what you need to let go of isn't the small deals, but the risks that could destroy the entire future." I understood, and I knew he wasn't talking about work. That afternoon, Chloe sought me out. She stood at the door, eyes red, mascara smeared down her cheeks. Seeing me open the door, she nearly collapsed, sobbing. "Alex, don't treat me like this. I was wrong. I truly love you. I promise I'll change." I said nothing. But I knew she came back because she saw the money I had just earned and realized Mark was still a jerk, not because of genuine remorse. She grabbed my hand, her voice choked. "Can you trust me one more time? Just one time." In that moment, I took out my phone, opened the message Mark sent, and placed it in front of Chloe. She read the first few lines, her hand immediately dropping. Her knees buckled to the floor. Horror was evident in her eyes. For the first time, she realized that all her explanations, all her "I'm sorries," had become meaningless. Right then, Chloe burst into uncontrollable sobs, losing all semblance of self-respect. "I didn't think things would turn out like this. Don't leave me. Please, don't." But tears no longer worked. Promises no longer worked. And drama certainly didn't. For the first time in 2 years, Chloe understood she had no more chances. And I understood. My peace also began at that moment. I thought the story would end there, but the next evening, my phone vibrated again, this time from a number I hadn't saved. The first line made me pause slightly. "I'm Chloe's mother." Without waiting for my reply, she sent a flurry of aggressive paragraphs. "You're a man. How can you behave like this? Chloe is so devastated she can't even eat. She made a mistake. You should forgive her. Doesn't every daughter have her impulsive moments? You loved her for 2 years. Are you going to turn your back and abandon her just because of a small incident?" I remained silent, but she didn't stop. "You have to take responsibility for her life. You can't just leave when you want. You destroyed her. You need to go back, talk things out clearly, and salvage everything." In that moment, I suddenly realized the funniest thing. The way she excused her daughter was exactly how Chloe had always excused herself. No one in that family would admit fault. No one thought about the pain of others. And it seemed, in their eyes, everything Chloe did could be seen as impulsive, while I had to bear the responsibility for the lesson she never wanted to learn. I replied with only one sentence, polite yet undeniably cold. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but this is the consequence of the choices Chloe made herself. Our path has ended." I sent the message, then immediately blocked her number. Right at that moment, I knew I had completely cut ties, not just with Chloe, but with all the troubles that revolved around her. The following days flew by rapidly. The multi-billion-dollar contract was officially signed. My company appeared on the front page of a major business newspaper. My name was on the list of the most prominent young faces in the tech industry that year. Colleagues sent congratulations. Partners constantly sought me out. My family was proud. My life suddenly opened a bright door that, because of that exhausting relationship, I had never fully seen before. Many people thought I must be at the peak of happiness. But actually, I just felt relieved. A strange relief. As if I had finally cut out a persistent pain that I had endured for too long. As for Chloe, she disappeared for a while. Mutual friends occasionally mentioned that she was devastated, quit her job, wasn't seeing anyone, wasn't talking to anyone. I listened, but felt no need to reply. Not because I was happy to see her suffer. I never wanted to hurt anyone. People only begin to appreciate what they have when they lose it. But I had already learned to appreciate myself before that. A few months later, when everything had faded like a story once heard rather than an experience, someone asked me, if your ex-girlfriend said, "If you don't trust me, let's break up," what would you answer? I smiled. I would say, "You are right." Because sometimes, leaving is not giving up. It's not running away. It's not weakness. Leaving is the most mature answer. And it is the only way to find the peace we deserve.